Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Founders Only podcast. I am so excited today to welcome David Chevalier, the CEO and co-founder of Surfe, a B2B SaaS startup based in Paris. Surfe started as a LinkedIn CRM connector and has evolved into a sales intelligence platform with enrichment and intent data functionalities. Welcome, David.
Thanks a lot for having me, Mia. A pleasure to be here, and many greetings from Paris.
So we're going to start with, I just want you to tell me about your journey to becoming the co-founder of Surfe. How did you come up with this idea? Was it a problem that you were experiencing and you tried to solve, or was it just an opportunity you found in the market? Tell me more.
Yeah, so it all started, I think I was 24, 25. I was sitting at the office in Frankfurt at the bank where I worked before. And I like my job, I like my team, but somehow I was fed up like, where this is going. I didn't really picture myself working in M&A, investment banking for my next 20 years ahead. So I thought, okay, I wanted to have a change. And I always had a pleasure when I was like 17, 18 at a first entrepreneurial project. So really doing something, having something on your own and starting something. And I found a beautiful program in Paris, which is University, AGC and Polytechnique. It's a mix between engineers and business people. So I thought, okay, that could be great. And I just saw it as 1 year of basically trying to find out what I can start as a business and getting a university degree on top of it. So that's how it started. And with Surfe in particular, it was in the US, when we had an exchange in California. I remember because it was almost at the day when COVID was hitting and we needed to actually evacuate the US and go back to France. We came up with Surfe because it was a university project. It was indeed our own problem we faced. We connected with a lot of people on LinkedIn back in the days in the Bay Area. We didn't know anyone, so it was a good medium for us. We did a lot of interviews because that's what we needed to do for our program. And we needed to sync all these interviews and messages we have been written on LinkedIn into CRM for our program manager. And we tried out with a lot of tools on the market, Zapier and so on, but it really didn't work. So while I was doing the work for 1 or 2 night shifts, copy pasting all the different infos into the CRM, Romain, my co-founder and CTO, he worked on a shortcut, and this first shortcut was basically the start of Surfe, what you see today. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so let's talk about David before he became an entrepreneur. And I want to go back to the beginning. Tell me about your family and how you grew up and what your parents did for a living and what types of things you like to do as a kid.
So first of all, I grew up in Frankfurt, so that's kind of center of Germany, which we needed to move, unfortunately, after 5 years, because my brother had a severe asthma and my dad was always family first. So he said, okay, he had a small insurance business or bureau, and he sold it because he said, hey, family first, and always putting out my kids first. So he made the move, and the move was to north of Germany, the coast, where basically there is nothing besides cows and horses and whatsoever. So it was very bold of him, and he's a huge role model for me because he took that risk. And that risk also gave him then kind of the opportunity to find out what he really wants to do in life and what he wants to do next. So he needed to be creative, and back in the time is what the end of the 90s, the internet came up. So he said, okay, I'm here on the countryside. I can only work with something that has to do what is happening in the internet because nothing else is here. Right. And then he created kind of websites and in the elderly care market because he understood, okay, Germany, we see more and more older people and they need to have homes at one stage because there will be more older people than younger people and we can't give them the care. So he built up that business, but out of kind of a need, and he needed to be creative. And I think that was really, for me, something when I was a child, I still look up for today, and probably I ended in entrepreneurship as well, because I see that firsthand from my dad. And yeah, my family is it's very mixed. My mom or my grandfather comes from Virginia, so we shortly for the preparation of this podcast, I know you're in Washington, so African American side of my family is my mom. So I grew up in a very kind of mixed environment with a lot of different cultures. The very German Bavarian of my dad, and this US American culture from my mom, which was, you can imagine, in the 60s, 70s, still new in Germany. So I saw that firsthand, and maybe that's why we have so many cultures now at Surfe. We have 45 people, and we have 16, 17 different nationalities and culture working with, which is a beauty, by the way. So that's from my mom's side. My dad's side is they come from a post family. So my grandfather was working at the post. His grandfather was working at the post, Deutsche Post, and my dad was working there as well in his early years. But then I think he was 18, 19, 20. My mom said, no, I think you can do something else. And she actually gave him kind of the confidence to start something. And is kind of the whole story. And maybe experiencing that firsthand, that's why I started, and at the end also something, because I saw the beauty of it. I saw also the roller coaster and the stress coming with it. So my dad himself never wanted to have my own business or be an entrepreneur, because he sees the other effects of it.
Yes.
But yeah, now I'm here, so that's a bit of a story of my background, maybe longer than you would have expected. But yeah.
No, that's great. So tell me more about when you were a kid. What types of things did you like to do, and how old were you when you moved out to the countryside?
So yeah, the beauty of the countryside is you can do and explore everything. So I know from a young age I played tennis, basketball, golf, soccer, badminton. So any kind of racket sport, ball sport there was, I did it. So then when I was 12, I needed to decide on one sport, and I decided on soccer. So I played then the second highest league in Germany. Very competitive level until I was 19. That gave me a lot of joy, having a team, not letting down people, even in stressful phases, like when I needed to finish my high school diploma, but I still had 5-6 times per week soccer. Mm-hmm. So that's what I enjoyed. I enjoyed also creativity. Like I played 5-6 years theater, which was a very break, because in high school you have these sports guys, then you have the creative guys, and then you have the science guys. So different kind of buckets. Right. And I was in kind of all the buckets, and I enjoyed like seeing and experiencing new things. So theater was actually a big pleasure of mine, and I remember my former kind of lecturer said to me, like, you becoming one day an actor in Germany. And once they saw me 1 year after finishing my high school, coming back, and they saw I was working in banking, they were like, what? We thought you go to the creative industries and not going into finance. So yeah, sometimes I'm now over 30. I have the feeling I explored a lot and lived sometimes 2-3 lives in terms of my professional career and also what I did before. But I think that's the beauty about life. Like, don't go into one bucket and explore when you have the chance to explore. And I think that was the beauty also growing up on a countryside.
Now, I have a theory that experiencing this type of dynamic life and exposure to different experiences, different landscapes, different cultures, I have this theory that it helps people be more innovative, because you are exposed to all these different concepts at a younger age, and so it makes you be more of a dreamer. It makes you have bigger ideas. Would you say you're a visionary person? Do you think you have a lot of ideas? You drive down the street and you're like, oh, that could be a business, or you know what, this could be an opportunity to solve this problem. Do you find yourself doing that a lot?
Yeah, I would say I'm curious about exploring things. while I may not have figured out, I don't know, in 3 years we're exactly there. It's more the Christoph Columbus, I know there's something in the West. So I think that curiosity gets me there. I wouldn't say that I know vision in exactly 3 years, 5 years from now on, but I know there's something that gets my curiosity, and I know if we work on this, we will land somewhere. So I would say I'm more this type of person, but often people told me, I just realized that in university, they said, you kind of see things different than other things. It starts in everyday life, what you said, like little details which other people don't see. And I always were questioning, why haven't you seen that? Sometimes it can be a distraction because you get so many signals and then you kind of get everything gets to you.
Yep.
So you need to filter that as well. But that's definitely something I realized only when kind of people realize that I see these details. In school, never. Just like in university, this popped up for the first time. Little things like, I remember a house party and someone was looking for a scarf and I exactly knew where his scarf was, but I never intended to know. I don't know, it seems like I come sometimes in a room and I see kind of where everything are. I don't try to kind of remember where the things are, but somehow my brain does. And I think, maybe that's my creative side, maybe that's my curiosity, maybe these all shifts to something what you can then call vision building. But I never realized myself when I was younger.
So Surfe was initially bootstrapped to £1 million. What strategies did you use to achieve this milestone? And how did you manage growth without the funding in the first stage?
Yeah, so as I said, we've built that shortcut. We didn't want to build a business out of it. So what we did is we went on Product Hunt and we uploaded it there. So Product Hunt is a website where you can kind of launch small projects. And we thought that's perfect for us. And quickly some CRMs were coming to us and saying, hey, that actually looks great and we want to have that as an official integration in our marketplace. So we said, okay, it's not that big of a deal. We just need to integrate to their marketplace. Let's see what we will get out of it. I remember in the first months we had like 200 euros MRR. And Romain and I were like, nice, now we can buy ourselves a proper dinner, like once a month. And from there it went quite quick because once we got connected to the marketplace, we get a lot of business from the CRMs, so from these partnerships. So I would say the 1 million is really based on the partnerships we did with the CRMs. We've reached it without any sales team, partnership revenue and founder-led sales. Because at the beginning, and I believe probably the whole journey of your kind of company, you as a founder are the number or one of the salesperson, or always a salesperson, let's say. So mostly partnerships and founder-led sales to the million, yeah.
And so at this point, during this stage, how many people, was it just the two of you?
No, it was first... we had the first interns and then I think 2 full-time positions, so 6-7 people, okay. Not really more, still below 10. And I think also what was very important for us, as we are not that many people, we need to make our product kind of self-exploring, self-service, so people can come in, understand it quite quickly. We always said every child, 4-year-old child needs to understand what we are doing. So design, UI, UX was very important for us from day one. And that's how you still, when you go through the onboarding, 60 seconds and you're connected. So I think that was very important, and also the success, how we reached 1 million, because we've built the product for self-service. Yeah.
Okay, so you at some point secured a 4 million euro seed round. When was that? And what were the plans, how you intended to use those funds?
Yeah, so the 4 million was 3 years ago. We've just raised another sum, which is not yet disclosed.
Okay.
But it will be, thank you, disclosed in April or May, I guess. So we used the money mostly for getting a team. I've told you we have been 6-7 people Most of them were freelancers, contractors. So we got a full-time employees. We are now 45 people. We really invested into product, but also sales. However, we did a lot of faults on our first sales team experience, because you raise money, then you think, okay, now let's 10x this. Let's hire a bunch of salespeople. We had no clue how to build processes in sales, how to hire the right salespeople, what to look out for. So we hired 6 people, failed miserably on that. So burned some money, but it was good for our learning experience, because now we are back at it, and it's working, and everyone was last year on target achievement, which we are very proud of. But yeah, first experience, you get an investor, they say, okay, now let's accelerate on revenue. And then you had no clue, so you made faults. Plus, I would say taking the money for shortcuts. But in my belief, you shouldn't take shortcuts to jump over learnings. So take the learnings instead of going the shortcut, understand the learnings. And then once you understood, you can take shortcuts with money, which can be outsourcing stuff, because now you have money and you can give it to a design agency, I don't know, for your website or marketing and all that. So I think that was also a learning. Yeah.
So we're going to dig into this a little bit more, because this is a mistake that so many of us make with going from founder-led sales to hiring sales teams. And you mentioned you didn't have the processes and some of the workflows in place, but let's deep dive into that a little bit more. Tell me more about the struggles that you experienced at this stage, and maybe one or two clear, if you were talking to David now, back then, if you were talking to yourself back then, knowing what you know now, what would be 2 or 3 things you would tell David to do differently at this stage with the people that you had?
Don't go in sales in particular for the fancy schmancy profiles. So that means you think like, okay, the guys, we hire people from Zoom, from DocuSign, from whatsoever, Salesforce, so big companies. Because you think, okay, they have a lot of sales experience, so they must know. But we don't have the support to support these people. These people come into an environment where they have a SDR, BDR function to help on pipe creation. They have a mid-market sales decks, marketing collateral, all that things in place to do a job like they do at these companies. But we are at a different stage. So we can't support that, hence why we failed with them. They have another kind of expectation, which we also can't deliver because we are such a young company. So I think that's what I would say. Don't go for the logos, and rather hire someone young who may be a bit more inexperienced but has this hunger to learn and to go also with the no support, technically build their own book of business, being a full cycle rep, do their own pipeline creation and all that. So that's what I would say, so to myself.
So it sounds like you started pre-seed. You started product-led growth. And then you moved to sales-led growth. But you didn't have the plan, the processes, the call recordings, assets, sales enablement, and things to make that transition. And so that's kind of what you're saying, as well as, managing expectations, having the right people who are scrappy, who are in a very startup mindset, to kind of be a partner with the founding team and invested as if this is their business and how they can, from the ground up, kind of build that sales function with you, kind of thing?
Exactly. We are still have both motions, like a product-led sales, I would say more a self-service motion plus a sales-led motion. But how we do the things now is they onboard, sometimes reps individually pay with their credit card allowance, we identify that, and then a kind of sales team jumps on that inbound opportunity and see if they can build a bigger case. So we have a lot of big logos, but either they just pay with their credit card, either they can't sign up because they don't have the allowance to connect to their CRM. So then we spot these opportunities, the sales team jumps on it, and then upsells. And that worked, for instance, with AWS, where we had a few reps paying for it and made a global case. We have now Google using it with 1,500 reps, where we have a global case. So we are still 60% self-service revenue and then 40% sales-led now, but both functions, they help each other. Yeah.
Got it. So how did you identify that? You said that you spot those opportunities. Tell me, is there a technical component? Is there a tool you're using? How are you doing that? Or do you have people on your sales team just kind of monitoring the inbound leads in a CRM somewhere?
So we would have wished there's a tool for that, but unfortunately there was none. And I think, you would have needed such a custom solution. So what we've built is our own CS, customer success support platform. And it's built very smart because we are connected to the CRM. So we have access and see how many CRM users the company has. And then we see how many Surfe licenses they have. And we see the gap. So this is a great information, for instance, on CS, where every sales rep can go into to identify the opportunities, where's the biggest delta, and go for these companies and opportunities first. Plus, in the CS, they can extend trials themselves, they can invite to beta users, beta tests, new features, and many more things. And we've built that from day one. And having this data and accessible for sales reps is a huge differentiation maker for us. And also once we talk with our first investors, they say, okay, that's already in place. Let's look 2-3 years ahead. Once they are there with a full sales team who can support that. And that's what we are seeing now. So it's built in-house.
Meet Brandy, your all-in-one content creation sidekick designed to make creating and managing your brand's content effortless. Let me show you how it works. Got a team? Bring them in. With Brandy, everyone can pitch in to create content that clicks. Managing multiple brands? Easily switch between profiles so you're always ready for the next project. The Brand Voice Analyzer ensures your content always sounds like you. Stuck on where to start? Check out our handy prompt templates. They're like creative jumpstarts to get things moving. Every edit, every version saved. With content revision history, nothing gets lost, and you can always pick up right where you left off. Everything your brand needs, it's all right here in your brand asset library. Stay organized like a pro with custom folders for every project. No more hunting for that one file. Brandy does too, and is ready to help you connect. Or in any language, really. Speak to your audience in the words they know best. Need ideas or have questions? Just ask Brandy. Save time with custom snippets. Your most used phrases, always handy when you need them. Keep your notes, links, and ideas in one spot, so you're never hunting for that one piece of inspiration. Get personalized content tips and SEO strategies to help your brand stand out online. Join Brandy today and make your content creation smarter, faster, and better. Let's create something amazing.
So, what leadership principles are important to emphasize at Surfe? And how do you foster this culture of innovation that's inside of you with your team?
Yeah, I think everyone is kind of their own boss of their kind of role. So a bit of a small startup in a startup when you're the leader of a department. As said, we don't or we can't give all the support you probably would have expected in mid-size or enterprise companies. Hence why you need to create a bit your role yourself. So we put a lot of trust into you, a lot of kind of ownership into you, but people thrive thanks to that. And we give everyone now coaches because we are now at 50 people. We have established a first and now a second line of managers, while we are not the most experienced anymore. And we've never learned by the books management. So I think it's super important to allow people to thrive, and also to give them the right coaches to even learn more, and then even go for them to the next stage. Because that's something, from a startup to a scale up, you shift gears so quickly, and you need to give the people the opportunity to go with the company to the next stage. And if we see it's not possible, then you need to have new talent come in and give them the possibility to go to the next stage together. So I think that's the leadership principles we apply at Surfe.
How do you identify these opportunities and challenges within your team? Do you have any regular cadence of meetings, either team meetings, one-on-ones? How do you identify who's coachable, who's not? Is there a feedback loop you have with your team where you are gathering information from individuals to understand what it is they're looking for, what their growth plan is as an individual, professionally or personally, and how that synergy between Surfe's goals and maybe the individual goals can come together so that they can really foster not only the innovation, but the scaling of the company and the ownership and that accountability that you're talking about?
I mean, once we get together, we set and you start a role, there's a mission, of course. So you are hired for a specific mission, and that mission is an underlying mission of the company's mission. So you can also translate that into OKRs. How are your individual OKRs helping the company's OKRs? And we are sitting together to create the OKRs for you. So we're not saying, that's the sheet, that's what you need to do, go, you have 1 year. No. It's really, we need to identify where you're best at, and then we need to create OKRs based on this and see if they can fit into the OKRs of the company. And then we have regular check-ins, one-on-ones every week with the sales team, but also outside of sales. And I think what's very important is every individual needs to ask, quite radical after each day, was I personally the best today for all the different meetings or tasks I did, or was someone else better? So if you are not the best for these tasks, maybe you didn't focus on the right ones. And ideally, you focus only on the ones where you're best at, because then you do a difference. And I think that's what we're trying to live with the leadership, and then also with the team, to always identify that and be radical about it. Yeah.
So what have been some of the most significant challenges you've faced as a founder? You already mentioned some lessons you learned in terms of hiring sales teams, but what are some other challenges you've experienced and the key lessons that you learned from them?
Yeah, I think definitely the two I already mentioned, taking money, taking shortcuts, but then jumping over learnings which you didn't go through yourself and you didn't understand, and then you end up somewhere where you can't have an influence anymore, and it's too far away to change. So that's definitely something. Sales team hiring without any kind of experience in how to build up a sales team. And then I would say the most difficult is always, and it's the heart of every company, is the people. So especially when you go to the next stage from a startup to a scale up, everyone says you can kind of compare it to a race driving car or whatsoever, and you need to change constantly the tires because you're going on a new circuit.
Great analogy.
So, but for me, I would say I would go even further. You not only need to change the tires, you also need to change the engineering team, because one engineering team may be good for that stage, but if you see, okay, we can't internally skill up to go also for the next stage, you even need to change here and get new talent in. So it's a constant shift, especially when the company is moving so fast, which you need to adjust to. And I think that's the most challenging every founder has. That comes down to people, allowing for the right people to come in and drive the company to the next stage, identifying these people who make a difference. That's definitely the biggest challenge.
Yes, having the right people in the right seats at the right time. Absolutely agree with that. Absolutely. So let's talk about AI a little bit. So AI can help founders scale content creation, but as AI assistant content becomes more common, how do you think you or other founders can stand out and still maintain a genuine human connection with your audience?
I think I can smell AI content now a mile away. So meaning, even though I also prep and let AI read through my content, I sometimes like to still keep my kind of own, sometimes rough language, even when you talk about sales, or even have it not written with the perfect paragraphs, sometimes just a short kind of 3 lines, do the job as well. So being real, how we exchange messages on WhatsApp or iMessage, I think you should do it the same way still on LinkedIn, Twitter, or any medium, because people will smell it if this is a perfect created kind of article because AI helped you to create it. Speaking about your own experience, because AI can't give that piece. So when I talk about sales, I talk about the experience I had. I talk about role models I personally had. I said my dad, for instance, at the beginning of the podcast. Here I often share some of his experience when he was in insurance sales from the 80s, which was completely different than what we see today. So keeping it real in the content creation. The content that needs to get you to the SEO rankings, you can do on your blog, on your website, that's fine. And it can be AI created. I see that because it gives you the traffic. But especially on LinkedIn, you need to be real as a leader. And it only comes with content that's written by you, that's based on your experience. Because people follow you as they are probably at the same stage as you. So they want to understand, and they want to understand honestly. When you face challenges, whether that's personally or professionally, share it. Don't mind sharing it and being open about it, because people will value that. So I think that's the most important. Then sharing pictures, videos as well shows that you're real. So nothing changes. AI can help in a certain stages for the prep and for the research, I would say, but still the main message needs to come from you and your experience.
Yes, absolutely. So it's like this AI plus human coming together to humanize, as you will, the ideas that you might, or the fleshing out of the ideas, right? Helping you write it, but the story has to come from you.
And it's something never changed, or I think will never change. It's at the end the same in sales. I believe AI can help us massively in all the research and preparation and data findings and admin and all that. But at the end of the day, someone needs to be on the phone or in the meeting, and you need to kind of connect with that person. So while we spent 70% in sales on admin before, I wish that AI can take over these 70% so that we spend most of our time on the actual sales in calls. And I believe that SDRs will move up and just have more time for cold calling sessions, for instance, as the research part is taking off them. Reps we will probably see a more full cycle rep motion, as a rep now with the help of AI can do their own pipe gen. So I think that's what I see kind of getting a bit up in terms of their role on spending more the time on the relationship itself, and having AI augment, I would say, but not replace. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Got it. So what advice would you give to early stage founders looking to build B2B SaaS companies? You've touched on a lot of things, challenges that you've experienced, but let's just go with one golden nugget. You've got one opportunity to tell this new founder, or maybe a younger David, just one thing. What is the one thing, if you just gotta, you're running past him and you're, David, don't forget to What's that response?
I think look at what you like, what gets the curiosity out of you, the passion out of you, and then see if there's a professional side of it, and you can make a potential business out of it, and then see if the business can create revenue. So I think these three things need to come together, because entrepreneurship is so hard, and you need to have a resilience to go through it. And I think half of the job, or that resilience you can bring every day, is you need to be passionate about it, because that can save you on this roller coaster.
Yes.
To not give up. And I think that's the most important. And when you see you lose that passion, you will probably see also the business will be struggling, or the growth won't be that much as you may expect it again, because you are also role model then to your whole company. You are seeding the seeds, and I think that is the most important to me. Yeah.
I love that. So find your passion, find the passion intersection with the purpose, and figure out how you can make it generate revenue and livelihood. I love that.
Exactly. Easy as that. But it's sometimes harder to do, right?
It's hard. Oh, that is hard. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Exactly.
That is a very hard thing for people to grasp, follow through. And
it's a lot of things. I sometimes joke about it, but the most kind of kept secret, or it's not a secret, but about a comedy, it's always about timing. So and that's also the thing in entrepreneurship. It's about timing. So if I wouldn't have said to myself with 24, okay, I want to break out of banking, I wouldn't have chosen the master. I wouldn't have met Romain, which is my co-founder now. So then about COVID, who got us to the stage where we needed to go on LinkedIn and do these interviews, where we come into the ideation phase for Surfe, kind of building at first LinkedIn to CRM connection. So it's always about timing as well. As said, I can't say to you in 3 years we're going to be exactly there. So I can't foresee that kind of time, but I can tell you there might be something happen, and I'm just curious enough to go there and see and find out. And then maybe time and everything will align, but you need to go there, and you need to be willing to go there. I think that's super important.
What do you think is in the future for sales and CRM technology? Let's just talk about like the next year. What do you see are the top 1 to 3 trends in your industry, in your specific vertical?
I mean, of course, there's AI agents. But I haven't seen any happy person about AI agents yet. So everyone is talking about it. It's great for press releases. But if you look at the underlying tech, it's the same tech we used to have over the last years. So it's just sometimes a kind of a fancy surrounding or umbrella on it. But there's no solution yet in AI agents that really set itself apart or had a breakthrough so that everyone is using it constantly. So I would like to see that happening. I actually don't know if we will see that this year. I think what we will see is when you go for an AI agent it's just another expression for putting your kind of research on steroids and having probably a swarm of mini kind of agents helping you as an SDR to do your research, but not a swarm of SDRs helping you to bring deals to your AEs. So as I said, I truly believe in augmenting. I don't believe in replacing and having a world of AI SDRs, not really. But I believe that the underlying tech can help us on this 70% admin we are currently facing on either SDR or rep level, and that we see hopefully more focus on the relationship, which we need, because if we're honest, we're getting spammed every day. If we're honest, we're getting so much information overload, whether that's on LinkedIn or other platforms. So let's focus on what really matters, and let's have everyone just having more conversations about what's driving a deal forward, and keep the rest somewhere in the ocean, let's say, and to be on brand. But yeah, I would say AI agents, a lot of stuff happening, but haven't seen yet a solution that sets it apart or where people are happy about it.
So you brought up something I actually want to explore just now. So let's talk a little bit about the attention that we're all struggling with managing, with the barrage of emails, LinkedIn DMs, ads, cold calls. Oh my gosh. Like, how are you dealing with that as a founder? Because I know as a founder, you are targeted. And I'm just curious about this because I know as a founder myself, I know I'm starting to just cover my eyes. Just leave me alone, you know? And are you, how do you decide to engage with any of these channels if they reach out to you? Is there something that you've noticed causes you to reply or engage with any of these outreach mechanisms that are by and far powered by AI at this point?
Yeah. So, I mean, often, of course, when I get a referral, warm intro, something like that, my attention is high and I answer to it because it's coming from my network and I put a lot of trust in my network. I also do open cold emails from time to time when it really sparks my interest. So, for instance, what we do for getting CRM partnerships is we do like a consulting case where we just have one pager to understand what's the value metric of these CRMs. What do they look? What's the most important thing that comes up every day for them? Is it like monthly active users? Is it, for instance, a number of contacts in the CRM? There must be one North Star metric they talk about every day. So I'm trying to find out what is that. And of course, I can do my research, and sometimes it's the right guess, sometimes it's not. Mm-hmm. But when people do the same with us, and they actually kind of did their very deep research to understand what we are looking at, then they get my attention, because they took the time to understand my business and see how they can work into that value metric. And that's what we do with the CRMs, and that's why we made such a great partnership, because for the first time they said to us, always when people want to partner with us, they see what's in for them in terms of revenue, because they want to have access to our user base, right? But you came to us with a deep research to understand what we are looking at and what we are interested, and how you can help us improving that. And that's different because you looked first at us instead of first at you, how to create revenue out of it. And I think a lot of people look first at themselves, how can I create revenue? And that's why we have so many spammy messages which don't land into your inbox. And if you just switch the focus, I think that's all the work you need to do and get replies. So that's how we do it. Yeah.
I love that. Okay, so focus on helping and adding value always before how to generate value for yourself.
Exactly. It will come at one point itself. It's the same anecdote. Sailing going to the west. There is something. It's the same here. I think revenue will come along its way, but forcing it and then coming up with the wrong pitches, it's not going to bring, at least for the mid to long term, success. Yeah.
Definitely. What is one book, podcast, resource that has been truly impactful for you as a founder for your mindset and growth?
Yeah, so there's a few. One book from Netflix, No Rules, Rules, which I can recommend.
Say that again. What's it called?
No Rules, Rules, from Netflix.
No Rules.
Yeah, I actually brought it here. So this one.
Yeah. Okay, about Netflix culture building.
Exactly. Exactly. So it's it's a bit radical because they are totally kind of up in for radical candor. So feedback, it's something in stage one of the company which we didn't give that much, because you start a company, you started being a first-time founder, so it's very family oriented, which has a lot of its beauties, but you don't say to your family kind of hey, I don't know, I think you didn't do that well. It's the same with there's this principle, mom principle, that your product looks always great. That's a product principle. So I think we haven't been that radical to each other, and everyone wishes also to get some great feedback, because we are all here for learning. And I think Netflix, I don't agree with everything what's in the book, but I agree with giving honest feedback to improve as a person and then as a company. And we try to do that, have more performance reviews, being not only from your manager to kind of the employee, but also between employees, having that feedback rounds. Because we are all in here for the experience and for the learning. And I think we do that better now. So that's one book. Another book, personally, which I have since, 10 years, is How to Stay Calm in a Busy World. Okay. So that's a book not related to business necessarily, but it can be also to life situations. It has a lot of short poems. It's written by a monk who studied in Stanford, if I remember correctly, and depending on the situation you're currently at, you're reading one of the poems, it gets your thinking going. And even though I read the poems 3, 4, 5 times, but I'm always reading it at a different timing and at a different situation. So it gives me then a different thinking and perspective on things. So I think that's a really great book with just some simple poems, and they do the initial kind of kickstart of your thinking process. And then podcast, what podcast? Recently I listened to a podcast from the founder of Gymshark, Ben Francis. Okay. It's on YouTube. It's together with a fashion brand which is called Nude Projects. So completely different, not in my area of B2B SaaS, but I like to go out of my area sometimes and see, how was this guy able to build a gym brand in an environment where you have Nike and all these other big brands. And he had a great podcast with this young brand from Spain. And sometimes I like to just go out of my bubble. Same when I explained at the beginning, I had a lot of interest in different kind of activities, sports or whatsoever. I think it's important as a founder also to go out of your bubble. And that's what this podcast helped me. Yeah.
What's next for you over the next year, David? What's your number one goal? It could be a personal goal or a professional goal. What's one goal you have for you over the next year, or let's just say in 2025?
I think one of the most important goals for me is we're going through so many fast changes, and these changes can make you lose your identity, or not lose, change your identity, adjust your identity. And for me, it's important to always kind of feel the identity at stage 1, at stage 2, at stage 3, at stage 4, and so forth and so on. So every year, it's the same when I ask myself every day, am I the best for the different tasks I did today? I'm questioning myself also then at the end of the year, were we the best kind of in terms of leadership to kind of bring that identity of the next stage? Are we the right for the next stage? The leadership we established. And I think that's the goal for me personally, to step up constantly as well, to step up not as founders, to step up in terms of the leadership. So the goal for me is standing here next year, being at the next stage or growing stage, and saying, okay, I'm still the right one. I'm still have a lot of things to learn, but I'm here to go through it, no matter what and no matter stage. And keep yourself true to your identity. keep that passion, have that passion still, as I said, because it gives you the resilience. So yeah, that's my goal, and building a beautiful company of beautiful people working behind. Yeah, everything comes down to people again.
Where can people find you on social?
LinkedIn, so David Chevalier. That's it. I'm mostly active on LinkedIn. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. And thank you, everyone, for joining us today. I hope this episode was as enlightening for you as it was for me. And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Thank you, Mia. Thank you for having me. Bye-bye.